What was one of the most profound lessons that got me to easily sell a multi-million-dollar online coaching business? And even more importantly, what is one of the most easy, useful, productive things that you can start using today so that you can get more done in less time with less stress? And even importantly, you as an entrepreneur and business owner, how do you get your team to be able to get more done in less time with less stress? That's exactly what I'm going to be showing you today. Also, really importantly, in this episode, I'm going to show you literally behind the scenes, the SOPs and the document to be able to use. So if you are joining me right now and you are on the podcast, then I highly recommend you jumping over to the YouTube channel so you can actually see everything that's there. And I'll find a way to get a link to actually share with you so you can open up right now to be able to start using the actual document that I use with my partners as well. Now, really importantly, the way I want to frame this conversation, this episode that we're having together, is I'm going to talk to you like you're going to be a partner of mine. Now, after selling the company, I've moved into partnering with experts, coaches, and amazing people that I feel very confident that I can build, scale, and sell their businesses with them. Now, this partnering for me has been profound because I get to see behind the scenes of so many amazing businesses, really get myself being able to have my hands dirty, doing the work and being able to see what's really working and what is not working as well. And that's where I want to be able to pass on those insights to you here. But really importantly, what happened was this morning, my spidey senses started to tingle. I had some messages on Slack from one of my partners and I could feel that she was getting overwhelmed. And so for me, this is a process that I baked into the last company that I sold and was so important. And I really want to give huge thanks and huge props to Alex Schafferin. You're an incredible human being, dude. Alex was the first man to show me this time audit exercise. Now I've made a few tweaks, and as we go through this episode, I'm going to show you 3 run-throughs. The last 2 are optional. Just start with the first one as a bare bones basic. It is always profound and I really, really mean it. So I'm going to be talking to you in this episode like you're a partner, like I'm literally shooting this SOP framework for you to be able to use yourself, and then you can use this and install it into your own business. You could just like copy paste this video, put it in, give it to your team members, let them be able to do it. And I feel really confident that this is actually game changing for being able to be so much more successful and effective at what it is that you're doing. And the reason why I find that this is such an important arrow to have in our quiver to ensuring myself, ourself, yourself, teams are all doing exactly what we need is because it's going to highlight a few key things I'm going to walk with you as we go through this process. So let me just share with you right now, this is the literal SOP that I share with my partners and for them to be able to share with their team members as well. There's a couple of key steps that it starts with it as well. And so the first step is just opening up a Google Sheet to be able to input the data that you'll see as well. So when you open up that link, what you'll see is this document opening up, which is super easy. Now, when it comes to the tech side, let's just have a quick side tangent. The reason why I like Google Sheets is because it can be a live, living document that can get updated and easily shared. If you want to be able to just say, put it into the notes in your phone, you can 100% do that. Honestly, if you're trying to get any more technical or any other apps or anything like that, I highly suggest you just stop, pause for a second, don't worry about it, come back to just using the Google Sheet or the notes in your phone. That's it for now. Don't go any more technical. And the reasoning why this works so well is this brings me back to when I was a physique coach. I was a physique coach for many years. I coached people to get in amazing shape for photo shoots, for world championship competitions, being able to just look, feel, and perform great on a day-to-day level. And one of the most proven effective ways for people to be able to help them lose weight and keep that weight off is simply through a food log. It's literally just writing down what you eat and actually just keeping yourself, well, it's just writing it down. And from that writing down, you start keeping yourself accountable. You start automatically making better decisions when it comes to your food because you're just keeping a log of it right now. And the reason why this translates over so well for how you and your team and myself and we're all doing what it is that we're doing is because we naturally start to see some patterns. So I want to talk to you right now so you can start installing this into yourself and your team. But I also want to do it from a way where I can help help kind of guide you through the process, because I want to give you a fish and teach you to fish at the same time with this process as well, so then you can best apply it for yourself. Now, the first run through, you're only going to be focusing on one thing, okay? So if you have this document up right now, you're going to be tracking yourself. It's really easy. You see, 1, we have the date. This is when you're actually going to be doing it. 2, you just write down the task in which it is that you're actually doing. And then for later on, not the first run through, for later on, there's a time start, time end, duration, and category. But just for right now, all you're going to do is the first run through, you fill in the date and the task. Okay, and all you want to be able to do is you want to be able to start tracking when you're doing it and how long you're actually doing that task for. So what your homework is to begin with is you're going to figure out right now, even in the comments, make this practical and useful for yourself so I can best help. But what you need to do is figure out what's your one most important task. What's your one priority for this next 7 days, for this next week? What is that? And the idea is at the end of the week, you want to know how many hours have you actually done in that task? How many hours have you invested in non-distracted quality work that is deep, getting that task done? That's all you want to be able to do. Now, what happened from my perspective and the experience of me running so many people through this process is when you go through this first run through, you have this epiphany at the end of the week, and it kind of starts bubbling through the week as you kind of start seeing some patterns emerge. And what it really is you find out that you're actually not putting many hours into your most priority. And let's say, for example, your number one key thing that you need to be able to do to move everything forward is you're a writer, you want to write. If you're a salesperson, you could be doing outreach, it could be whatever it is, but think of that one thing that's your most important task for this week. A lot of the time, I can see time audits come back from team members and from partners, and it's like 4 hours of writing in the week that they've done. Now, out of a 168-hour week, 4 hours, that's a pretty small percentage to be able to put in for what you're saying is the most priority. So run through number 1, just do that. What's your one priority? Track how many hours did you actually do of that task in the week. Second run through is we're going to be doing it a little bit differently. And where this comes into play is you're going to be listing down the task that you do, the time when you started it, the time that you ended it. You can figure out the duration later. I don't suggest doing the duration when you're actually like in the day figuring and doing all of the work. And the category, like what is the category of it? Is it marketing? Is it sales? Is it content creation? Whatever it actually comes into. The idea of what we do with the second run through, there's going to be 3 key insights that you and your team are going to be able to have with this. And that is going to be number 1, how much task switching is actually going on. So let's just say right now, the first task you did, let's say you had a sloppy start to the day, you jump into Slack and you're answering Slack questions for the first start to the day. So you're becoming quite reactive, not proactive. But anyway, you jump into Slack, let's say it's 8:01 a.m. that you start, and then suddenly time end 8:04 because suddenly you get a phone call at 8:04. Well, then you need to write that down. Phone call, when does that start? So what we actually start to see is this: how often is someone task switching between things that they're doing? And what we want to be able to get them to is being able to have bigger chunks where they're doing deep, focused work. So for me, the way that I see this is you really should only be toggling between you are doing deep, focused work that's completely undistracted. There's no one that's going to be coming in. My daughters are at school. My phone and notifications are turned off. I'm here. I'm with you. I'm creating what it is that I need to create. Then there is going to be the other side of the pendulum where you need to be more reactive. You're going to be bouncing around, answering emails, getting back to messages on platforms, doing all of those other things that is not your absolute deep work as well. So we can put that into like buffer time. The second key insight that comes from being able to go through this process is really then you being able to see it listing out and being able to look at it and ask yourself and go, okay, what is it that you're working on and when? So then you can start to be more reflective, which is the whole purpose of this that I'm going to get to in just a second. But you can start to then engineer how your day actually looks like. Because then the third insight is how do you engineer, how do you change, how do you manipulate your environment so that you can be more productive doing what it is that you need to be able to do. For me, and kind of like my insight when I think of like productivity is most likely there is going to be some sort of Pareto 80-20 rule as into your output to the actual results that you're going to get. And so I would much prefer you doing 3 hours of absolute deep work in the one most important thing to move your business forward, and then you can just slack off for the rest of the day, compared to, let's say, an 8-hour day where you're sitting at the desk, but you're bouncing one thing to the next, you're responding to another person, you're doing a little bit of work, you're going to an email, you try and write down some content, you try and shoot this video over here, then you got to respond and get back to someone, and that's just never a fun day. And a concept that I really love to keep with myself is there is 3 elements to a really great day. There is simplicity, so there's not trying to do 100 million different things. 2, deep work. I have deep, undistracted time to get into the things that fascinate me, but also move the business and projects and the things that I'm doing forward. And then it's time with loved ones. I want to be able to spend time with my friends, with my family, with myself, being able to fill that cup up as well. Now there is the third run through. So the first run through, we just tracked what your one most important task, the one priority, and how many hours did you do at the end of the week. The second time you go through it, you want to track absolutely everything that you're doing so that you can actually see, are the things that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and how much time are you spending in each, how much task switching is going on, how much distraction is happening. And so then the third time through, we just put a couple of little caveats in there, kind of like a pre-framing on 2 sides. One's going to be, how many MITs, most important tasks, do you have, and where are you going to be working on those? So it's kind of actually like, literally for me, I want to see it in your calendar. And I would say, I want to see in your calendar when you're working on these 3 most important tasks that you need to kind of get done to move these projects forward. The second is actually time chunking in 4 different areas. I want to see, where is your free time? Where is your love time? So time with loved ones, time with yourself, time doing with the things that you do that give you joy. And then there is learning time. For me, I want to be learning every single day. I want time where I'm reading, listening, or having conversations with someone where I'm being able to become wiser. And then 4th is work time. So there's free time, love time, learn time, work time. Where are those in your actual calendar? So the third run through is doing the time audit, having the framework of, number 1, what are the most important tasks you need to be doing so that you can be a little bit more conscious of where that is going to be. And then secondly, having your chunks of your 4 different categories and having them in place first, and then seeing how your tasks roll out as well. Because really importantly, when we go back to this SOP, is the 6 steps that are really simple for this, for you to be able to apply with yourself and with your team, is going to be, number 1, just create the sheet so you can start tracking everything. Number 2 is you're going to set the 1 week that you're actually going to do this. Just start from today, make life easy. The third is you're going to actually start inputting the actual task of what needs to happen. And so the whole idea of this is, I want to then empower you. I want to empower you as my partner to be able to be self-reflective, to really come about, and every time that you do this, to be able to know what are 3 things you're going to start doing and what are 3 things you're going to stop doing. So you can start aligning yourself, getting a little bit tighter, getting a little bit more directed for where it is and how it is that you need to be able to do things. Because for me, this is a task that you either want to do at the very start when someone starts a role, when a team member starts a role, or when someone's getting overwhelmed, or just at the end of every quarter, just to kind of have a realignment with what this goes. Once you've done the first couple times through this, it becomes really easy. But what I want you to pick up from me right now, what I want you to be able to use, is really the idea and the concept that this is so that you can understand what it is that you're going to need to change so that you can be more effective, to get more done in less time, with a hell of a lot less stress as well. I don't feel like someone has to be coached and kind of hand-holded through this process, because the simplicity does the heavy lifting for you. You just going through and doing the task is naturally going to start helping you get focused and being able to realign as you go through it. So it was my intention to make sure that I can show you something behind the scenes for what I know works really well. Literally being able to give this right now to a partner to be able to implement and deploy in their business so that things become a lot more fun, a lot less stressful, and a hell of a lot more lucrative with how great it is, the things that we can create. So I appreciate you being here. I'm looking forward to you joining us in the next episode.